Goes Here's My Paw Illegal, and today we're going to talk about what happens after you get a car accident while visiting sunny California. The first thing you need to do is call 911. And allow me to point out that you may not realize you're hurt at first. You know, you've got that adrenaline pumping. It's not uncommon for you not to feel anything till the morning after, or the morning after that, and in fact it can take up to 2 weeks for you to really start registering the pain. That's typically just for the orthopedic stuff. What about any neurological issues? Now, it's not uncommon after a minor car accident where, you know, nothing too much happens to the car, you know, you still have that whiplash. That same whiplash that jerks your spine around, that causes all that neck and back pain, well, your brain just floats around in your skull. That violent back and forth motion causes your brain to hit the inner walls of your skull, causing potentially a TBI, a traumatic brain injury. I say all that to say that you may not think you're injured right away. So the best thing you can do is get to the emergency room. But if you don't think that you're hurt right away and you realize you are the next day, I would get to the emergency room, especially if you're on vacation, your primary care physician is not there. Nowadays, we have some pretty cool options with telehealth. You can get on the phone with a doctor who specializes in what you're going through. They'll be from anywhere in the country, but they can get you referred out to someone local, whether that's where you're at right now in California or when you get back home. So the best thing to do after getting in a car accident in California is focus on your health right then and there. But I understand that sometimes, whether it's because you didn't think you were hurt at the time or you just don't have time before you leave, sometimes you don't have the luxury of going to the emergency room. The second thing you do, you may not be able to get to the emergency room, but you still needed to call 911 and get the cops on the way. But again, not only do some people not have time for the emergency room, sometimes the cops don't even show up, or you don't have time. You really have a flight to catch, right? You're already running late as is because of what just happened. Well, you need to exchange insurance information with the other driver, see if the other person's okay. Sometimes you can do this while you're on the phone with 911. Help the other person if you're able to. You also need to document everything. Everyone's got a camera phone, right? So take as many pictures and videos as possible. You want to document the damage. You want to document the positioning of the vehicles, but you want to be able to document the scene of the accident. You want to be able to prove what actually happened. Sometimes people leave before the cops ever get there. And then you want to call your insurance company and open up the claim. You could also call or text a 470-PAIN-PRO and then sign up with our law firm. We can send a letter of representation to the insurance company, and then boom, you don't have to talk to them. We'll handle the insurance company, so you don't have to, and you can just focus on getting better. If you're not going to be able to do that right now, like immediately, reach out to us, then you need to call your own insurance company and notify them of the accident. And then I would say, I have an attorney. You'll be hearing from them. So you got to take care of the insurance, right? Whether that's calling us immediately so we can do it for you. But if you don't notify your UM, in a lot of states, including Georgia, your UM, which is governed by your home state, if you don't notify your UM, they don't have to protect you. You got to notify your own insurance company of the accident. But again, you can just immediately go, oh, now I got an attorney. Now, they will eventually need a letter of representation, but they're not supposed to talk to you if you have an attorney. So I would get to hiring one as soon as possible so we can take that off you and you can just focus on getting better. So what happens if nobody's hurt in the car accident? Well, normally your insurance companies deal with it, but it can get dicier. That's what happened to my brother-in-law. He was rear-ended while they were getting ready to leave. Couldn't miss his flight, and the cops were taking forever. So they exchanged insurance information and part ways. Both parties had to go, and the cops in California were taking their sweet time. He wasn't hurt, the other guy wasn't hurt, and then thankfully nothing creeped up injury-wise over the next few days or weeks. But what happens when the other side starts harassing you? And that's exactly what happened to my brother-in-law. Bilal starts getting texts from this guy, condescending, demanding that he pays for everything, when my brother-in-law doesn't think it's his fault. He was rear-ended. Now, he hadn't told me about the accident. I would have been like, hey, go to the emergency room just in case. I always think it's better safe than sorry. But he notified me when he started getting threats about a lawsuit. And he said, you must not understand small claims court in California. Well, small claims court in California is interesting. It's different than small claims court in Georgia in that with only a few exceptions, no lawyers are allowed. Normally when I can come in and help my family, here I can't. So what happens if they start threatening you in small claims court? Again, under normal circumstances, you don't have any lawyers in small claims court in California, so that guy has to sue you pro se. That is never a good idea, especially when you're going up against an attorney. Oh, and you know what one exception to the California small claims attorney rule is? Insurance company defense. Your insurance company, Bilal's insurance company, gets to bring in a seasoned attorney that's normally going toe-to-toe with lawyers like myself, and now gets to let this guy learn on the fly and kind of, teach him the law in a very unforgiving way. It's one of the few times the defense attorneys that work for the insurance companies are on your side, right? You don't trust the insurance companies, but you trust their motives. And here, they're trying to not pay, and it's not your fault. But oftentimes, when it is someone else's fault and you're dealing with their insurance company, or even if it is your fault, I promise you that your insurance company is going to be stingy, even though I'm sure if they asked you, you'd be like, hey, just pay them. I messed up. I rear-ended them. I'm sorry. When you sign that contract with your insurance company, you give up your right to decide any of that. The insurance company is the one that are making the decisions to drag this out, right? They're being stingy. They're dragging everyone through this lawsuit that would potentially happen if they don't pay what they're supposed to with our initial ask, which unfortunately is often. Make sure you keep talking to your insurance company until they verify that they are hiring a lawyer for you. That's exactly what happened to my brother-in-law, and that, even though it wasn't me, because it's the insurance company paying for this one, they're the only ones that are allowed to, it still made him feel a lot better to have a lawyer. And that's exactly what's going to happen if you get sued by someone in small claims court in California. Even though it's not your fault, your insurance company is going to bring a lawyer, someone who knows exactly what they're doing. It's like bringing in a boxer to go against someone who just, thinks they could throw a punch or two. I mean, you're going to get eaten alive by a trained boxer. It's exactly what's going to happen here. It's not going to end well for the pro se plaintiff, I assure you. Insurance companies are agreeing that it's not my brother-in-law's fault. So if that's what your belief is, talk to your insurance company. They'll be able to take care of that for you. So tune in next week when we answer the question, can I sue a self-driving car? I don't know, Ghost, what do you think? Spoiler alert, you can. It's called a products liability case. Let's talk about it soon. Isn't that right, buddy?